spend a couple hours a week on their sports, theater, whatever activities it is that they've decided to just kind of participate in and enjoy in their high school career, makes up about 1,000 hours. And then lastly, you have this teeny tiny little slice right here, and that's actually the percentage of time that students typically spend preparing for standardized tests, which is a little mind-blowing considering the fact that standardized tests count for a huge portion of your college application. This 10 hours you're seeing right here normally accounts for a couple practice exams a student might take, or maybe doing a couple practice problems on College Board's website. So something I definitely want to let you know, these tests are, kind of daunting and big, but you can conquer them. And you can put 40 to 50 hours into preparing for these exams and make a huge improvement on your score, which can really set you apart on your college application. Now we're going to move on to the PSAT. What you're here to learn about tonight. So what is the PSAT? Well, at the heart, the PSAT is really just a practice version of the SAT. And it does mean something a little different for sophomores and juniors. For sophomores, this is really just your first exposure to standardized testing. This is going to help you whether you're going to take the SAT or the ACT. It's going to give you a good idea of what these tests are like. For juniors, it's an opportunity for you to potentially be a National Merit Scholar. Very few students actually do get this award, but I would encourage you to talk to your college counselor if you have any questions about that. And then lastly, and I think more importantly, the PSAT score gives you a good idea of where you stand right now. Had you taken the SAT right now, it's probably going to give you a good benchmark of where you're starting off, but then also it gives you a good goal to work towards. Maybe start looking at some colleges' SAT scores that they're accepting and see if that's extremely far off than where you are right now to give you a good idea of what you need to work towards. All right, now we're going to look at this pie chart, and this is going to be one of many pie charts that you're looking at this evening, so I hope you like them. As you can see, there's multiple different colors on here. Each color represents a different section. You've got critical reading, math, and writing, and on the PSAT, you bounce back from multiple different subjects. If this is something that you liked, this could be a good sign that the SAT is a good test for you. If this is something that you didn't like, that's also okay. It could mean that the ACT is a better test for you, and we're going to talk about those a little bit later tonight. Another thing I want to point out is that this exam is 2 hours and 10 minutes. Wow, that's a long time. It's a lot longer than most tests that you're normally taking. And when it's all said and done, it's really going to be about 2 hours and 30 minutes once you factor in breaks and things like that. So it is a pretty long test. So those are some key things I want to point out about the PSAT before we dig into the score report. So go ahead and pull out your score reports, and I'm going to walk you through and let you know what all these numbers mean. First, you've got your 3 sections right up here: critical reading, mathematics, and writing. And then you've got 3 big numbers underneath. Well, the big numbers in the bubble is your total score for those sections. So this student right here got a 50 in critical reading. And then if you look underneath, you've got the score range. And that means if you were to take the test right now again, you'd probably score a little bit higher, a little bit lower than what you scored the first time you took it. So this student right here has got a 46 to a 54 if they were to take this exam again. And then you look down to beneath that, you've got all these little people in a row. This is your percentile rank. This shows a student that he did better than 55% of other juniors in his class. So this just gives you a good idea of where you stand in comparison to your peers. Oh, and another thing to point out, the scores range from 20 to 80 points. The highest that you could get is a 60. The lowest that you could get is 240. Now we want to move on to your total score. The PSAT likes to call it the selection index, kind of just a fancy term, but it is just the sum of your 3 sections. So this student got 146 on his total score, and then underneath is another percentile rank. This is going to show you again what percentage you ended up in comparison to other juniors in your grade. And then another thing that is pretty exciting, and I'm sure you're dying to know, is how the PSAT, how you would have scored if you had taken the SAT at this point. All you have to do is add a 0 to the end of your number. So you would just add a 0 after the 6, and you could see that if you had taken the PSAT the same time you took the, if you had taken the SAT the same time you took the PSAT, you would have scored about a 1460. All right, now we're going to move on to the skills breakdown. This is really insightful. I also kind of think exciting to look at because it helps you really point out your strengths and weaknesses. It allows you to be strategic about what you need to study for the SAT. You can look at this pretty quickly and see the areas that you're excelling or that you're really struggling with. So this student right here, he did pretty poor in organization and ideas, so those are the skills that he really needs to focus on. That's going to help him be a better test taker in the future. Then you can see a couple sections where he did really well. He got 12 out of 15 for number and operations, so he knows, okay, this is something that I'm pretty good at. I don't need to spend a ton of time really focusing on this area. And then another thing to point out is you've got this code that's unique to you down here on the left-hand side of your page. You can go to College Board's website and actually log in, and it's going to show you all of your answers on the PSAT. Now we're going to move into the question by question. I think this is actually my favorite page in the whole score report, so get excited. It's going to give you a lot of just really insightful information, again, that's going to really help you understand who you are as a test taker and how to just improve your score in the future. So you've got 4 different categories here. You've got the question, correct answer, your answer, and then difficulty. So to start off, it's going to show you the question number in the first column. The second column is going to be the correct answers. The third column is your answers. So in that column, your options are either a check mark, or there's going to be a number or an O. So this means if you got a check mark, you got the answer correct. If there's a letter, you got the answer incorrect, and that is the correct answer. If you put an O, that means you omitted the question. Something I want to go ahead and bring out right now is that most of you may know this, you may not know this. The PSAT scores a little differently from what you're used to. In high school, you might be getting 1 or 2 points for an easy answer, a couple more for a harder, you may get partial credit. That type of thing can change depending on the question type. Well, when you are taking the PSAT, they don't care about that. They just care about your answer. You get 1 point for every correct answer, and then -1 point for every incorrect answer. So this student right here will also have a couple O's in there. That means he skipped. Something that you can be very strategic about. If you don't know the answer to a problem, if you are spending too much time and are just stumped, it is to your benefit to skip that question altogether and just to move on. We really recommend that students do that so that they don't waste too much time on any one question that's only going to be 1 point. The second question after that, they may know really well, and they can just keep moving and stay in a good groove. And then another thing to point out is the last column. It's going to show you an E, an H, or an M. Stands for easy, medium, and hard. This helps you know what types of questions are you getting right. Are you making silly mistakes and getting a lot of easy questions wrong? This is going to kind of help let you know you're probably maybe rushing through too many questions and and making a lot of careless mistakes. This is going to help you know that you need to really work with pacing.